If you're hearing this right now, it isn't random. This message didn't drift into your life by accident. It found you because you needed it. Not because you were looking. Not because you asked. But because you reached a point where something inside you was quietly saying, enough. You don't have to understand why yet. Just stay with this. You've been tired in a way sleep doesn't touch. Not the kind of tired that goes away after rest. The kind that settles into your bones. You've been carrying weight that doesn't show on your face. Silent battles no one sees. Thoughts you don't say out loud because you wouldn't know how to explain them. You kept going when you didn't want to. Days where getting out of bed felt like a negotiation with yourself. Moments where stopping felt easier than continuing. There were times you almost gave up. Not loudly. Quietly. Internally. You didn't make announcements about it. You didn't collapse where anyone could see. You just kept moving, even when something inside you was already exhausted. And that endurance cost you something. It took pieces of you. It aged you in ways people don't notice. There were nights you didn't think you'd survive emotionally. Nights where everything felt off, but you couldn't point to a reason. Nothing was wrong, and yet nothing felt right either. You're still here. But it hasn't been easy being here. What you went through wasn't punishment. And the silence you felt wasn't abandonment. Even when it felt like no one was listening. You were not unseen. God has been closer than your breath in moments you thought you were alone. Not fixing. Not interrupting. Just witnessing. The universe wasn't loud with answers. It watched you hold on when you didn't know why you were holding on at all. There were moments where you thought, if something cared, this wouldn't hurt like this. But pain doesn't mean absence. And silence doesn't mean you were left behind. You were being observed in your endurance. Not judged. Not rushed. Seen. There's also grief here that no one prepared you for. Because something is ending. Not in a dramatic way. Not with a clear goodbye. But with a quiet separation you can feel in your chest. Not everyone can come with you. Some connections were only meant to carry you this far. That doesn't make them meaningless. And it doesn't make the loss clean. Even when growth is right, loss still hurts. Even when separation is necessary, it still feels like mourning. You're allowed to grieve what's ending. Even if it was never meant to last forever. Even if letting go is the correct move. There are people, roles, versions of yourself that can't cross into what's next. And knowing that doesn't stop the ache. Separation can be protection. But protection still costs something. You don't have to rush through this sadness. You don't have to turn it into a lesson yet. This is part of becoming. And becoming is expensive. There were moments you almost gave up. Nights you didn't think you'd survive emotionally. And still, you're here. You were never abandoned. Even when it felt like everything familiar was falling away. Some things had to end to spare you. Some doors closed to protect you from futures that would have drained you. Futures you would have survived. But at the cost of losing yourself completely. There were protections around you that you didn't notice at the time. Because protection doesn't always feel gentle when it's happening. The universe didn't remove things to punish you. It removed them to keep you alive in ways you don't fully see yet. God didn't leave when it got quiet. The quiet was part of the care. You're not here by accident. You're here because you endured something that could have broken you. And it almost did. Now, something is shifting. Not loudly. Not all at once. Something big is approaching. And you're at the edge of something life-changing. It doesn't feel exciting. It feels strange. Unsteady. Like standing between what was and what hasn't arrived yet. This hope doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like a soft exhale after holding your breath for too long. You don't see what's coming yet. You don't need to. Things are moving quietly. And when they arrive, you'll understand why it took so long. Why you had to outgrow certain spaces. Why everything felt off before it changed. You're not behind. You're at the edge. This was expensive to become. What you survived cost you comfort, certainty, and parts of who you used to be. But you crossed something. And you earned the right to be here. Welcome to 2026, the year you finally align with your destiny. Not because it was given to you, but because you lived long enough to reach it. Before you leave, write this slowly in the comments. Treat it as sacred. Treat it as a promise to yourself. I am aligned and I trust the timing of my breakthrough. And if you know someone who barely made it through, someone who's still standing even though it cost them everything, let this find them too.